Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're discussing tech news, we're discussing VR, we're discussing robots, we're discussing flying cars, and we are discussing artificial intelligence on the Whattam podcast.
The AlfieWhattamPodcast.
First thing I want to share is wistlabs.com have released a pretty cool innovation in the world of virtual reality. For those listening on audio, now is a good time to turn on the video. Essentially, I know you guys have seen this clip, but just showing it for the people at home. You can pop on a VR, sort of AR, mixed reality headset, and you can click a button and see memories that you've recorded before in the past. So there's a very cute memory of a baby. Everyone loves babies, and there they are in the living room. Obviously, pretty interesting tech, pretty groundbreaking innovation, and something that was sent to me, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely something we should have a chat about. So virtual reality obviously has been interesting places in the news, but starting to see some pretty cool applications and use cases. Let's get your reactions and thoughts to this. Damion, when you see that clip, what's your perspective?
Yeah, no, it's good tech. It's interesting. I think I see good use cases for it. It is, I guess, that next generation in terms of, it's videos and, photos and so on. And I think I can see it being used in, I guess, like, the social media phase, sphere as well. But yeah, I do actually, I like it. Yeah. It's quite nice.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, right?
It's quite cool, yeah.
What do you think, Alex, when you see that?
Oh boy, I think it's creepy. And I think it's going to make us much lonelier as humans,
Sure.
Especially when the baby disappears.
Yes.
When he tries to touch the baby, but the baby's not there.
It's a hologram.
And then he switches it off and it disappears. And maybe the recording was like 30 years ago and the baby's an adult now and they don't call anymore. Mm. And all they have left is, this recording of trying to touch the baby. I don't know. Maybe. I think we are living in an increasingly lonely society. Yeah. And I'm afraid that this will contribute to increasing loneliness when instead of making new friends, you replay videos of your old good experiences. Yeah.
But virtual reality definitely is quite isolating to a degree. Putting on a headset locks you in your own individual world, doesn't it? But
it's fun. But you can do it with people. Like if you have a multi-user virtual reality experiences, I think it's great. Yeah. Because it makes sure that you do not use Earth's resources. Yeah. You don't go somewhere, you don't fly on a plane. You can meet your friends from different countries in virtual reality, and that's much cheaper, less taxing on Earth. Yeah. Which is cool. It can enable, but this thing, I don't know, I find it a bit creepy.
Okay. What's your perspective, Beata, when you see this clip?
I sort of was going to say the same as Alex, but I just thought maybe it's not appropriate to say it.
You can say anything on the show.
I really agree with that. But I can see good uses for it, specifically in mental health, maybe possibly trying to really help people who suffer from anxiety, depression, and I know there are quite a few deployments of that tech in educating people and helping people as well. But I do agree that there needs to be a border between the real life and this life, and some people might lose out on that. And I can see it a little bit in my son as well on a personal story. Yeah. But yeah, definitely a growing market.
Yeah. I mean, you raised an interesting point a second ago, Alex, where you said about this could make people isolated because the vision of virtual reality was to connect people and bring them closer together. That was, Meta's whole ethos, right? And they did that really well. You could argue with Facebook, with Instagram, with WhatsApp, but virtual reality potentially could be not achieving what it set out to be, because we see a lot of the younger generation, I suppose, addicted to TikTok. But then what happens when TikTok becomes inside VR and then they're just living in this sort of thing? Do you think VR is going to be a really positive thing for the world, or do you think it might make people more socially awkward and that sort of thing? You posed the question, so why don't you kick that off?
Well, I think it's a tool, first of all, and it depends how you use it and what applications are developed for it. Yeah. Right now, there is Oculus, of course, and you can use Oculus, but the problem is if you go there are 10-year-olds. Sure. You go into nearly any application that's free on Oculus, that's public, and it's a lot of 10-year-olds whose parents gave them VR headsets just not to educate them and to be like, here's a toy, go play with it. Yeah. But as more tools are being developed, maybe we're going to have better applications. And because it still can be social as long as it's moderated, because the moderation is a massive problem, but we're having this new developments in like ChatGPT that can help with moderation, you know? Is this 10-year-old being rude right now? Should they be kicked off or something like that? Because you cannot just freely moderate VR with humans. You don't have enough humans. But if we have technology that does that and actually educates and guides people in their life journeys as they use these applications, I mean, sure. I mean, I think it can be as good as meeting people in the room right now. We could be in VR. Why not?
I mean, Mark has tried to do it with people. I've been in VR rooms before where it's just people with very high squeaky voices, which is cool. And then you see somebody walking by with a shiny glow on their head, and they're a member of staff working for Meta moderating the room, and one by one you see the kids disappear. And they have made it so you have to be a certain age, but obviously anybody can just click a button.
It's not scalable. Like you need like some automation for that.
Yeah. Well, what's your perspective, Beata, on the implications of people being super introverted, socially awkward, potentially because of this sort of technology?
So because probably I'm really very much people-oriented person, people in the room person, I just can't see it for myself. I can definitely see it for younger generation, and I do think it's worrying. I think it's worrying because there's so many mental issues amongst youngsters now, and I think part of it is due to the fact that I might be old-fashioned here. They're not going out and playing the ball with the others. You know, they're not really playing in a forest. But it just makes them alienated being in that room. Even when you in your headset space, it's probably not for me.
Yeah.
But I can see, like Alex pointed out, good points in terms of education and helping, educating and helping.
What if there's no difference? What if you cannot know that I'm not real?
That's $1 million question.
That is a scary bit. Yes.
Oh, the forest is not
that,
real.
On our last episode, we had a clip with the world's most advanced video game graphics. It was the Unreal Engine, and it was a clip which you could not tell the difference between real life and VR. I think that was more on like a console, but when that gets put into VR, then we're in trouble because
and they can simulate smells as well now, right?
Yes,
so they have technology for that.
Yeah, we got.
How about touch?
Yeah, we can.
They're gloves.
Gloves. Yeah. You got gloves. You got smell. You've got movement with the VR treadmills. The only thing that you don't have is taste because I don't really know how you can do that. But
wire to the brain.
Neuralink. Yeah, you probably could. What's your take, Damion, on the social side?
Yeah, I think growing up, I just remember being in the house was the most boring thing to do. You grew up sort of playing outside football, whatever it is, just having fun, climbing trees, doing things as kids. And I think, things have changed significantly. Kids are, even my kids, it's a struggle sometimes just to get them out the house.
Yeah.
There's everything that was outside brought into the house. And, this is just taking it to that next level, with the VR technology and agree, it can lead to, we have to be mindful of, how is it affecting our kids mentally? It can have an impact. So it's something that we have to sort of regulate, see how we can, have tools that we can use to sort of monitor the usage, and which I'm sure, of course, they're there already. It's interesting because I think it might have been in India, I'm not quite sure, where there was a small community where they literally locked down the Wi-Fi for a couple hours in the night.
Oh, wow. And
they really have people policing just to make sure you can get a fine if you are using, the Wi-Fi during that. Not saying we must, that's where we should be heading, but, they found that, the community was a bit more cohesive when they did that. It was, people were finding things. They were having dinner together as a family.
Yeah.
They were doing these things. So it was quite interesting, that, the community actually accepted, they were actually embraced the fact that they were doing this. And it was actually bringing families back together.
Yeah.
So it was, quite interesting. Maybe it won't work here, but, it's, we probably need to see how we can sort of find a way to moderate it just a bit.
What if the dinner is in VR? What if all of you are in VR together?
Ooh.
It's living life within virtual reality. The only problem is it's not real reality, is it? It's
What's real reality?
I know, The Matrix. Where that movie was just released. I think yesterday was the date it was released. So many years ago. It was the anniversary, and I rewatched it, and all I could think was those tanks there at the beginning. With the where they're in the pods. I mean, that is basically the VR of the future potentially. But we'll have to wait and see.
But that video you showed, it's more AR than VR, though.
Well, I think he was wearing a VR headset with pass-through.
Yeah,
But yeah,
sure.
The word probably would be AR to use, or mixed reality perhaps, because it's...
but that's the creepier thing. That's the next level creepy, because now you can... Okay, if you have a video, which means you can also generate people.
Yeah.
And, the Apple, they're releasing their new AR glasses soon, I think.
WWDC in a couple of months.
Yeah, so if people are wearing them, they'll be like fake people walking around. You don't know who's real, who's not.
Yeah. Well, what about predictions on this thing, right? Do you, if you all had to, give your opinion, do you think in a couple of years we're going to have, let's say we have VR, AR, people are wearing this, in the same way we've got phones and Apple Watches and so on. If that becomes a thing, do you think we'll have overlays of memories on a regular basis? So you'll go into your your living room and you'll see your past grandparent, and you have to rewatch and have that memory, or maybe you'll go into your kid's bedroom, you have to see you click a button and you can replay in the same way that we went from looking at photographs to looking at videos of memories. Do you think AR and VR memories will become a thing, or do you think this is just a gimmick, it's a fad and it won't actually happen, or do you think we'll be seeing our pets' memories in VR? Let's just get your predictions. Beata, do you think it's a potential hit or a flop?
So, in short, I think it's a potential flop, and of all of the ideas we're discussing today, that's my least favorite one.
Okay, no problem. Damion?
You know what? I think it's gonna take off. I think it's gonna be that next level.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. I mean, as I say, we do need certain regulations around it, but that's just where it's gonna go.
Okay, Alex?
If there's money in it, it's gonna take off.
Of course. Well, I mean, there'll be a free model and then a way to monetize it with a paid one. I have no idea. I mean, I probably would say it won't be as popular as a photo or a video, but I think there'll definitely be a good chunk of people that enjoy this sort of thing.
But you need the breach of the market first. You need people to have the devices, and they cost money. So yeah. I
mean, that's a big thing, right? But I mean, people bought computers, people bought laptops, people bought phones, and the watches, and then perhaps glasses are the next thing.
Maybe, but they've been around for a bit. Like, how many people have like an Oculus, for example? What's the market penetration right now?
Surprisingly, more people bought Oculuses than Xboxes last year. So
really?
they are being sold at a bigger quantity than people realize. Just the usage, the daily active users is not where it needed to be, but the tech is just not there yet.
There's no killer app as well. There's nothing to really bring you back.
It needs to replace your phone. When VR AR can replace your phone, that's when it will be used on a daily basis, I believe. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by WeLoveAlpha.com. If you're looking to grow and hire and scale your software engineering team in the UK, then go to WeLoveAlpha.com to hire the best software developers on the market. Everything across Java to C# to PHP to Python to React and Angular and mobile and more. Go to WeLoveAlpha.com to hire the best software engineers in the UK now. Let's have a look at the next clip. This is a piece of news that was sent to me, which is quite interesting. So, robotic arm assists with knee replacement. So, Sky News was invited to see a robotic arm assist with a full knee replacement at Walsall Manor Hospital. This is the first time that this type of technology has been used at an NHS District General Hospital, and the surgery was a complete success. There's a picture there of the robotic arm. There was a doctor also operating on the patient, but the robotic arm was essentially their assistant, helping out and making sure that the surgery was successful. When you hear this story, what's your reactions to this? Beata, what's that of yourself?
I just think it's amazingly exciting. So reading on a market, it's a very growing market. There were over 1.7 million operations done using robotic automation. Though I can't remember whether it was over last year or whether it was in total. Mainly in States, I see lots of pluses. There's still worries and concerns, but definitely exciting news.
Yeah. What's your take, Damion?
No, I agree, Berta. It's very exciting space right now. Being able to use robots and performing surgery and so on, and it's. I think for me it is. I guess, or in terms of what I can't get my head really around with regards to this. I know as a surgeon you need to have a license to be a surgeon. I'm not quite sure in terms of a risk, the risk in this. I mean, do you need to have a license as a robot to be performing surgery? I don't know. I don't know. That is what's required. So it's I guess it's quite interesting space. I mean, anything with automation does make things, or should make things a bit more reliable, safer. Yeah. Ideally, performing better performance and so on. But yeah, I think it's a good area, a good space. Just not quite sure how that bit works.
The licenses are probably coming because GPT can now pass the bar. It can pass basically every single exam that it's being given. So a GPT bot could pass basically any university qualification. So I'm sure it probably could get qualified if it really wanted to.
I'm sure.
Yeah. What's your take, Alex, when you hear about this story?
Well, I have two questions. First of all, what are the ethical implications if the robot surgeon accidentally or not accidentally kills a patient? Yeah. Which might happen.
It will happen, probably.
It will happen. So what are the implications? Who's responsible? Yeah. I don't know. And the second one, how well tested the code is for that thing. Because, I mean, it's a complicated piece of machinery with a lot of moving bits and a lot of code, potentially. How well tested is it? How secure is it? Is it possible to hack into the network and, control it remotely, as people did with planes, for example? Sure. You can be on a plane, you can hack on a plane and do the thing with the wings. Yeah. So these are my two kind of concerns about this.
Would you feel comfortable having this operate on you? Let's say you had a heart surgery or something. Would you, if you could opt for robot or for not robot, what would you choose?
Well, if I could choose, I would choose a human. But I think right now with the current state of NHS, you might not have a choice. You'd be you can wait for half a year and get a human, or you can have a robot today. So yeah, I think I would go for a robot.
So you'd pick a robot out of convenience.
Yeah. If I could get a robot today or wait for a human, I'd pick a robot today.
What about your side, Damion?
Human. I prefer human right now. I don't know enough, and I don't know if there has been enough research, or I'm not quite sure. I don't know much about what has gone into the development of these robots, and as you said, there is that risk, and don't know much. Cybersecurity is
there's a risk of a human though as well.
Yeah, there is. It's very because I just said that with automation comes reliability and stability and so on, but at the same time.
It's just the idea, isn't it? Having a robot operate on you, it's a bit scary.
Yeah. I'd like to probably see. I'm not the first one to jump on to do something like that. I've just never been that person. So I'll have to see. It has to be sort of in production for a while before I can feel a bit more safe. Okay. Get all the bugs, all the kinks up first before I jump
hopefully
on.
They're out before they even do the first one, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I take your point in terms of ethics and so on. I think it ties into the fact that I'm not quite sure how they're licensed and how that works. Yeah.
But Beata, are you yay or nay on having a robot surgeon?
So I think I would go for yes. And I just wanted to answer the question about who is performing the surgery. My understanding right now is a sort of combination of both, that behind each robot you still have a surgeon, and I think that surgeon has to have a massive knowledge how these robots work. So the purpose of the robot as it is right now is to really be precise in the incision and the movements. So I probably, if I had a surgery which is quite standard, I would be quite happy to go for a robot, something that is new. Not yet. No.
I think though, they're there to support and assist the surgeon and the surgeons on hand. But I think maybe a few days down the line, the surgeon will be out, and I think that poses another problem that we do have with general AI. It's taking over jobs, as they say. Eventually, the surgeon is going to be there sitting down watching the robot perform surgery, and they would be redundant, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? We talk about on the show about robots replacing baristas and construction workers, but a robot replacing a surgeon, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? You know, should we let that happen? Should we stop innovation? What do you think when you have the idea of AI replacing surgeons, Beata?
I immediately think robots replacing software engineers.
Yeah.
I don't know why as well, because maybe.
You're all screwed.
But yeah, I think about the length of life. I think about people having the quality of life through that. I think about all of the positives which it can give to humans. So that's probably my
Okay,
take
so you're
on it.
optimistic
Yeah.
on it.
Very.
Okay. Your side?
I agree with you. I think, as I said, with automation, especially in engineering, we can see the benefits of automation through productivity, automation testing that, brings up a bit more stability and reliability and so on. And, that brings operational efficiency as well. And also the less burnout. When you automate things as a person, you have that less. So there are benefits of automation for us as humans in terms of less burnout and so on. So those are the pros. But I kind of agree with Elon in terms of we're going probably a bit too fast and too quick to market, and I think it's really based on competition. So not sure if we need to just take a pause.
Well, that's his view, right? He's signed the petition. Steve Wozniak has signed the petition. Over 1,000 of the world's leading tech experts have signed a petition on banning AI advancement for 6 months.
I think it's post ChatGPT 4. Anything beyond that,
Which, regardless of how many people sign that thing, it's not going to happen because China's going to keep working on it, and then the West is just going to be left behind, in its exponential growth. But
I think regulation has to catch up.
Yeah,
I think we're going too quickly. I don't know how, ethics, bias, in it. I think those are questions we need to ask. We need to pause and see what is this. Is the data bringing in some level of bias, in the AI? Yeah. Privacy. When you write something in ChatGPT, where does it go? What's the privacy that surrounds it? So I think, we do really have a lot of questions to ask. What's the impact it's going to have on jobs? As you said, we're kind of worried about, it's writing code.
Yeah. Well, what's your take, Alex, on the job side? We didn't get your perspective on.
So with the surgeons, at least, I think we have to. We are a rapidly aging society. There are more and more older people. Yep. Older people need more healthcare. We have less and less doctors. So we have to somehow address it. And I think this robotic surgeon is there just in time.
Yeah.
So by the time when we're in this spot where it's very top heavy, more old people than young people, maybe we have robot doctors that are good enough to operate on older people and improve their quality of life. In general, the replacement of jobs, I'm not really that worried, specifically for software development, because we had code generation for years. You could generate code before, and what it does right now, it does it better. It's you don't need to Google Stack Overflow anymore.
Sure.
You can replace some very simple, we can get a React component if you just describe it in a sentence, but can you describe it well enough? Because in my experience, describing the problem is 50% of the problem, getting the right requirements, and then writing the code is probably 40% boilerplate, and then 10% it's craft, it's art, it's the imaginative solutions.
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced that ChatGPT can do imaginative solutions. It can really well do things if you define the problem real well. But in the way it's like a calculator, before you had to do it by hand, then you could do it with, pressing buttons. So now you can calculate things by using words. So I'm not really that afraid of it replacing a lot of crucial stuff. And most of the applications I've seen so far seem like tech demos.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any real killer app or killer feature. It feels like, back in the days when we had Adobe Flash and everybody made a Flash game, that's what ChatGPT feels to me right now.
It's definitely early stage, but once we have the plugins, once we have an ecosystem of apps and everything is integrated into it, I believe it will just be like having a website. Like you'll have some kind of AI implementation in your business, but we'll have to wait and see. Next clip I wanted to have a chat with you about is Klein-Vision.com have been working on a flying car. I never thought I'd say that sentence, but let's show the clip, and for those listening, tune in to have a quick watch of this thing. Essentially, it's a very cool sports-looking car. Imagine seeing this just going down the highway, and then suddenly the wings come out. Suddenly you pull back, and then you're flying through the through the flicking sky, and there it is. It's a flying car. I don't really know what else to say. We've had flying Uber helicopters on the show before. We've had loads of drones doing deliveries, but a flying car is it's here, and that was always the vision of the future. It's always what people wanted to have, people wanted to see, people wanted to drive, people wanted to fly, and in the not so distant future, you may be able to press a button on your Tesla, and then you are in the sky. What's your reaction, Alex, when you see this flying car?
Personally, I've never asked for this. It wasn't my vision of the future ever.
Sure.
I think it's a toy for the rich.
Okay.
I think to afford a flying car, it's just very selected few people will be able to.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be a good car. I don't think it's going to be a good plane. It's going to be just a toy. I'd rather have better public transport. I'd rather be able to take my dog on Eurostar, which I cannot right now.
Yeah.
I think it's a gimmick, and it's just yeah, no.
Okay.
I don't like it.
What's your take, Beata?
I would love to. I wouldn't like to drive it. I'm such a bad driver as it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to just get into it, take and travel. I think the market is predicted to grow quite rapidly at around 26 per year or something like this. So, watch this space.
Okay. What's your take, Damion?
I hate flying, first of all. So, flying in a flying car. Wow. No, I think to be honest, it's probably, as you said, something for the rich, but just like cars, it was something for the rich first, but eventually probably not in my lifetime. I don't know, but it's gonna be commonplace, I guess, in a few years that people are going to be using flying cars, possibly. I think there are things like, I guess, to look out for is maybe impact on the environment. That might be something that we have to look into, what the impact is going to be. Security, I think we spoke about that in the past. How secure it is. I mean, how do you navigate traffic in the air? I guess air traffic control for regular airplanes is crazy. Much less traffic in the air. So
I don't know. We might need a self-flying aspect. No more self-driving, but self-flying, so they're not bumping into each other. But we'll have to.
You'll have to because right now to fly you need a license.
Yeah.
So I don't think people would just be able to pick up and fly even if it becomes real.
Yeah.
So it's all gonna be self-flying. Yeah, so in Fifth Element, I think was the movie, right?
Okay.
Where you tell it where to go and it takes you there.
Yeah. Well, you're right about this being for the rich, right? So it's not for sale at the moment. It's still an R&D, but clearly from the video we saw a working prototype. But the reports say it might be around about $1 million, which is a lot of money for a car. Probably not a lot of money for a private jet. But
it's not a jet.
It's not really a jet, is it? It's kind of in between. But it's going to be for the rich, obviously, to begin with. But I was listening to Henry Ford's audiobook this morning, and before he created the Model T, I believe it was, cars were for the rich, and everybody else had a horse and cart, and then he came along and made a car for the people, essentially. So this might not be the product which gets to the masses, but maybe the 12th or the 13th competitor might create something which everybody can use.
But what does it solve? What problem does it solve?
Well, it solves the problem of traffic. If you're on a busy motorway and
so does public transport.
Correct, yeah, and public transport probably is a better solution in my opinion because it's better for the environment and maybe, you know, some kind of boring tunnel company vision where you've got loads of those, you know, helped by the government so that those are, you know, available for use for a lot of people. That sort of thing might be, you know, a better solution. But this is interesting, not to say the less, but it poses a question. Do you think this will remain a toy for rich people, or do you think we'll see mass adoption on this? If I had to get your predictions, Beata, what do you think?
I think it would be mass adoption. I think it could be part of the public transport as well, flying buses at some point. I think it's going to shoot up. Maybe not within the next 20 years, but
okay. So long term, you
yes.
see this being a mass adoption thing. Okay, what do you think, Damion?
Yeah, no, I think the same. It's going to be a mass adoption.
Okay,
you know, people it's as you said, you know, few years, maybe even 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be, as I said, automated. It's going to be, you know, or you might, you know, well, people might have the chance to fly them themselves because they're enthusiasts. But yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to take off.
What do you think? Is this a toy? Is it a gimmick? Or do you see this being an everyday thing, Alex?
It's a toy. I mean, personally, I think it's going to be a toy for rich people. And yet again, the question, like, what problem it solves? So if VR picks up, for example, like previous topic,
yes.
More people will stay home. Like right now, the problem of traffic is more people commute, people go places, you know, like if more people stay at home and do stuff at home, I mean, they don't need to commute as much. So, I mean, the roads become clearer. So that might not be a problem anymore, and better public transport will solve that problem. And in general, you know, like self-driving cars will also solve a problem. If like Uber, you can press a button and the car just appears. You don't need to drive it. You get in, it takes you places. It doesn't need to fly. It's much cheaper not to fly. It's really expensive to bring something to the air, like the fuel consumption. Like it's expensive. I mean, of course they make better and better ones, but it's much cheaper to stay on the ground. That's why we're not in space yet.
Sure.
So yeah.
I see maybe like a few years from, well, 10, 20 years from now.
But why?
Taking off, you know, jumping in the car and going to France. Going to...
Or you can get on a train and go to France. I mean, Eurostar is there.
I know. Well,
I mean, we're maybe going to get another tunnel to France. We need another tunnel to France because right now, like, it's a monopoly. It's quite sad.
You can't bring your dog, though, in the...
No, you cannot. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah. You know, like, I have to take a ferry when I go mainland.
But you can in the flying car.
Well, yeah, but flying car is like, for me personally, I prefer public transport. I like trains. I like being, you know, with more people in one vessel. Yeah. It's cool. I mean, and this is like still a very individual thing where like it's you and maybe two more people. And if you put more people in it, it's a plane.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you said flying buses, you know, so maybe, Beata, you're onto something there. Maybe that's a hybrid, in between. You know, you have the public transport of the bus, but it also can fly as well. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Buses that you can take the dogs on as well. And I mean, I think it's also about speed. You know, you can live by the seaside in France and commute to London to do the work.
Yeah.
Or you can just do it remotely using your
you
VR
could
headset.
do it remotely, of course.
Yeah. Thing, you know?
I mean, but I did the podcast for, 70 episodes on webcam, and it's not the same as doing it in person. So, I mean, remote is great, but it's not always the answer, is it?
Sure. But technology is improving, you know?
It is. And when Apple released their new headset, there are... leaks that it will have a much better graphical interface in the respect that it can scan your face, and instead of seeing a little, Mark Zuckerberg 2D animation, that we've all seen that picture with in France, right? Instead of seeing that, you will see you in VR on FaceTime.
Also, like read emotions, and then they display them on the avatar.
But
so when you smile,
avatar
smiles.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, so that potentially will drive what you're saying, but we'll have to wait and see in a few months. Hey, really quick video just to give you a free subscription to Coder magazine. Coder is the #1 publication for all the latest tech news, expert insights, and exclusive industry interviews. With Coder, you get the inside scoop on what's happening with Elon Musk, with Bill Gates, with Jeff Bezos, with Mark Zuckerberg, and so much more. So if you work in the technology industry, then I'd highly recommend that you give Coder a read today. Just scan the QR code on the screen for free access now, or go to welovealpha.com/magazine to get your free subscription today. Okay, final clip to discuss. This was actually sent to me on Twitter by a follower of the show. If you enjoy the show and would like to send me clips, and my Twitter handle is on the screen at the moment. We've got some really good engagement there at the moment. Michael Dell, everyone knows Mr. Dell, he actually was liking the show the other day and sharing it. So appreciate everybody's engagement in that respect. But this clip was sent to me. It's a news story talking about artificial intelligence and Levi. So Levi Strauss is partnering with Amsterdam-based digital model studio LaLaLand.ai to create hyper-realistic AI models of every body type, age, size, and skin tone. So essentially, you will be able to go onto their website, list your gender, your body, size, your skin tone, etc., and see what you would look like wearing those clothes, which is interesting. What are your reactions when you see this application of AI, Damion? What's your take?
No, I think it's good. I think it's being able, because when you see models modeling clothes, they don't look like me. Right?
Really?
Yeah. No, not the 6-pack and whatever, and
Sure.
So I think for me, it's like, seeing, as you said, the different body types, and so how it looks on me.
Yeah. Being
Being able to see how it actually looks on I guess maybe my physique or whatever.
Okay.
It's I think it's gonna take off. I guess you can ask the same question. Where the model is gonna go.
I know. We'll get to that, because that is an interesting point. But what's your initial reaction, Alex, when you see this piece of news?
I think it's about like 10 years too late.
Okay.
Because now if you get like good AR, you can put your AR glasses on, look in the mirror, and it's going to replace your clothing with whatever clothing you want. So it's going to be on you, not on a generated model. And the younger people, they're all in their TikToks and stuff, right? So
Sure.
they do not really look into models anymore. And they don't get the peer pressure of how you're supposed to look from the ads as previous generation had. They get it from TikToks, and a lot of the TikTok, influencers, they get sponsored by the brands, and they wear the clothing.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit too late. It's an interesting tech demo, but I think that's it.
Maybe a stepping stone to the AR that you see. Okay. And what's your take, Beata?
Probably conflicting views, and mainly conflicting because I don't find the ethics being very fair. I just don't know, whose bodies are there in that model, and who does own the body, because in the end the compilation, that body is someone else's measurement, someone else's pictures.
Good point.
It's a funny one, but I can definitely see the benefits. There's no question.
Okay.
Definitely.
It's good from an ED&I perspective to a degree, but then also it's bad because it's not giving the ED&I minorities the jobs that would be needed from a model perspective. So it's fake ED&I, kind of. You posed the question, Damion. I think this is obvious that models are not going to exist really if this takes off, because why the hell would you need a model? Why would you even need a photographer if you have DALL-E for scenic art and other types of art? You've got Midjourney for building this kind of cool stuff. Then models and photographers will be gone. So do you see that becoming a thing, or what's your view on that side?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is a threat on that industry in terms of not models will be gone. So I think that's just a general question around what AI brings, and that's why we have to kind of probably step back and kind of see where it's going really. What impact it's going to really have on jobs. So yeah, I think it is I guess a concern in that industry that we probably have to look into. So
it makes the pause on AI make some sense when you start to consider the millions and millions of jobs which are going to be affected overnight when it comes to this sort of thing potentially.
Yeah, and I think with this and that with different innovations and different I guess in industries and as time goes by, new jobs will be created. It's going to bring new opportunities, just like the Industrial Revolution, as we said, new opportunities came when machines came about. There's also, I think there will always be jobs, but there'll be different type of jobs.
Sure. Okay.
Different industries will open up.
Okay.
What they are, not quite sure yet, but I think there will be.
Okay. So AI replacing models, replacing photographers. But Beata, is that going to happen? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What's your take?
I think it will happen. I think this is just the way the world is going, and I agree about so many concerns over how we're implementing AI, but I'm also aware that the word, and this is a big gun, the word competition is now a tech stack. And I was listening to a program on Saturday where it was discussing how China approaches the development with the utilitarian party, where they don't give people a choice and everyone seems to comply. But the point is that they really advance in what they're doing. And if we sort of stop here, I just don't know what sort of larger implications might be in a few years' time if we don't follow. And it's a really difficult question.
Yeah. What's your take, Alex?
So I don't think the models and photographers will completely go away because it's going to be a thing of prestige, So yes, you can have an auto-generated art and whatever, but you can use a real human, and that's going to give you an edge and make things more expensive. Like Paris Fashion Week, it's not going to be auto-generated. They're going to be catwalks. They're going to be photographers. It's it's the couture. It's super cool. But all the the general stuff will probably be replaced potentially. But the bigger picture, I still think it's still a tool, and depending how we use that tool, will probably shape jobs. Will probably make some jobs obsolete, but will make some jobs more rewarding. And to be honest, I want jobs to be gone completely. I want everybody to just have hobbies. I want to live in a post-scarcity society where you have your food printed, where you have entertainment on demand, and you can just enjoy your life and be with friends or be in VR or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that should be the vision, and we should utilize the tools we have with that vision in mind. So as long as you know where you want to take the society, then you can use your tools better. I don't think we should just stop. We should direct it, probably government policy, etc. But we should see where it can take us.
Interesting. Cool. Well, look, thank you all for coming in today. It was good to get your perspectives into some pretty interesting topics. We talked about VR, we talked about robots, we talked about AI, we talked about flying cars. An interesting episode and interesting topics to uncover. But thanks for your perspectives, and good to get your point of views.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for watching this podcast. Make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, comment, etc., and I'll see you in the next episode.